Thanks, Darlene. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Adrian today. Adrian Routley-Houle is a business development manager at Chartwell Retirement Residences, Canada's largest senior living provider. She has 20 years of experience in leading a team of retirement living professionals as an administrator, providing operational and sales leadership. She's a dedicated relationship builder within Southwestern Ontario communities. She holds an undergraduate degree from Wilfrid Laurier University in political science and communication studies. She has successfully completed her designation of Certified Professional Consultant on Aging. She is well-versed in the intricacies of helping seniors and their families navigate the complexities of today's senior living options and understand the challenges associated with work-life caregiver balance. So we'll turn it over to Adrian at this time, and thanks again for coming.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Sarah, for that lovely introduction. It is my pleasure to be here with you today to discuss the caregiver life and how to support a balanced and healthy life for caregivers. I want to commend the Grand River Council on Aging for offering this platform for these discussions about caregiving and normalizing these conversations that are so needed in our community to support caregivers in our lives. I'm going to start off today by defining who a caregiver is, discuss the dynamics of the sandwich generation. I'm going to share the signs of caregiver burnout and the causes. But most importantly, I will focus on how caregivers can prevent burnout and create balance in their lives. So who are family caregivers? Well, in Ontario, there are approximately 4 million caregivers, and many people do not consider themselves caregivers. They think of themselves as a family member or friend who's doing what needs to be done. Family caregivers are typically relatives, friends, spouses, or neighbors who provide assistance related to care. This care can be assistance in the activities of daily living, house cleaning, grocery shopping, supporting with getting dressed, meal preparation, helping somebody with medication assistance. It could be a reminder call or dropping in to make sure someone took their medication, supporting somebody with banking and transportation. And Linda, I'm just going to ask you to hold that slide there. If you could go back one, sorry. So I'm just on the slide. Am I really a caregiver? Yes. Am I really a caregiver? Advance. You've got it. Thank you, Linda. So I am going to ask you a series of questions, and I just kindly ask that you answer them quietly to yourself or maybe on a notepad. Answer yes or no to these questions to help you decide, are you really a caregiver if I'm just helping someone? So do you ever feel nervous about the well-being of a loved one when they're home alone? Are you receiving multiple calls about the TV remote, electrical issues, dimming of light bulbs, or a letter in the mail? Are you running from work on your lunch break to fix a problem? Does your loved one have trouble remembering to take medication that they've been prescribed? Or do you find medication on the floor sometimes? Do you or other family members find you are often preoccupied with worries about the safety, loneliness, mental health, nutrition, and mobility of a loved one? Is there family discussions and disagreements about how a loved one should be cared for and how much time is needed? Has your loved one experienced any challenges, including loss of a license, accident, decreased confidence, or trouble arranging transportation? Has your loved one recently experienced a fall or health concern that required hospitalization? Now, if you answered yes or can relate to one or more of these questions, then more likely you are a caregiver. Okay, now we're on the slide according to Statistics Canada. Thank you. So I know these statistics are pre-pandemic numbers, so they will be increased. Almost half of all caregivers are reporting caring primarily for their parents or their in-laws. Caring for parents is the most common form of caregiving reported, and that's the key here. The most common form of caregiving reported in Canada. Now, I've had the opportunity to work with many older adults in which one person has health or mobility challenges and their spouse provides daily support they need. Oftentimes, these caregivers of spouse don't identify themselves as caregivers. And instead, they're telling me that providing care is just part of being a good spouse. This is what people do. This is what it means when we say that people will be there for each other in sickness and in health. Advance. And we're on the slide, adult children. So caregiving can be rewarding and can help the person being cared for immensely. However, there are studies that found that among people providing care for at least 2 hours a week, they are reporting signs of psychological distress. So there is an increased risk for people suffering mental health issues. So Linda, just hold on the sandwich generation slide. Sorry, advance. Now the sandwich generation, it includes anyone between the ages of 45 and 65 who have children at home under 25. And these people are caring for a parent or a loved one. And most often, they are working full-time. Studies show that in certain circumstances, the health of the caregiver is declining at a quicker rate than that of the person they are caring for. It is the adult daughter or daughter-in-law who's doing most of the care. For some of you, you may be dealing with parents as well as in-laws at the very same time. You may find yourself in discussions with siblings over what is best for mom and dad, their care, what they can and cannot do, and how well or not well mom and dad is doing. Advance. So what is caregiver burnout? Caregiver burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. When the mind, body, and soul is depleted and unbalanced, when all of a caregiver's focus is on caregiving, life is unbalanced. It may go along with a change in attitude from positive and caring to negative and unconcerned. Burnout can happen when you can't get the help you need, or if you're trying to do more than you're able. Caregivers who are burnt out may have fatigue, stress, anxiety, and depression. Many caregivers also feel guilty if they spend time on themselves rather than on their loved one's care. We know that stress is increasing for caregivers, and it sometimes translates into increase in absenteeism from work and stress-related illnesses. You may feel guilty and frustrated and overwhelmed. I want to assure you, you are not alone, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Know that you're doing the best you can at any given moment, and you're here today. Advance, please. So here is quite a lengthy list here. There's signs of caregiver burnout when somebody is depleted emotionally and physically. And these signs consist of withdrawal from, those social engagements with families and friends, a loss of interest in activities that bring you joy, feeling blue, hopeless, changes in appetite, which result in weight gain or loss, changes in sleeping patterns, having difficulty sleeping, or on the other extreme, sleeping all the time, getting ill often, emotionally and physically exhausted, using substances like alcohol and sleeping medications more frequently. And I just want to recommend, if anyone is displaying any of these signs, to please reach out to your family, doctor, or care professional. Advance. So caregivers are often so busy caring for others that they tend to neglect themselves, or things that can lead to caregiver burnout. So let's review what these causes of burnout can be. Role confusion. You may feel confused to be a caregiver. It can be very difficult to separate the roles from the one of spouse, child, or friend. Unrealistic expectations. You may expect your care to have a positive effect on the health and happiness of the person you care for. This can be unrealistic for people who have a progressive or chronic condition. Lack of control. It can be frustrating to deal with the lack of resources and skills to manage one's care. And just an example of this could be home care being arranged to come in on a scheduled day and they are not available. Unreasonable demands. You may take on too much, partly because you see providing care as your job. And lastly, you may not recognize when you're burnt out and get to the point where you can't function well. Advance. So here is the most important piece of this conversation. Taking care of your own health actually helps you be better as a caregiver for your loved one. You will have more energy and be more relaxed caring for them. You cannot help your loved one when you yourself are sick as a result of stress. So let's review these 6 ways to take positive action and good care of your health today and reduce caregiver strain, which positively impacts the health of your loved one as well. Number 1, how to take action is looking after your own physical needs through eating healthy, exercising regularly, we all need movement, and getting enough sleep. The 3 balanced areas here that are crucial in taking care of your own health. Our second one, how do I take care of me, is staying connected with others. Spending time with our friends and families, engaging in social interactions and discussions creates so much value in sharing our lived experiences. We need to stay connected with others. And everyone needs to make time for activities that you enjoy. Joy has a huge impact on our lives, and everybody deserves joy in their life. Exploring stress reduction techniques. I highly encourage caregivers to introduce stress reduction techniques into their life. Often they can be in the form of micro breaks and activities such as meditation or deep breathing exercises that can be integrated into one's day. Be realistic about what you can and cannot do on a daily basis. Asking for help is probably the hardest thing to do, but also one of the most crucial aspects of being a caregiver. We need to ask for help and use caregiver services that are available to us. And lastly, I want to share this option for caregivers. Considering respite care for a loved one allows short-term relief. It can give a caregiver time away to rest and do activities that they enjoy or like to do. It is okay to take a vacation. Advance. So every day across the province, we are speaking to spouses and adult children and caregivers who are taking care of loved ones. And often by the time they reach us for help, they're already experiencing burnout. Advance. So part of my role in the community is ensuring that people are informed of their options and giving people resources. So we do have supports in our homes across Ontario, but I also want to direct your attention to a fantastic organization that we refer a lot of caregivers to, and that is the Ontario Caregivers Organization. It is a great resource for caregivers for tools, self-reflection assessments, 24/7 helplines, webinars, and one-on-one peer support groups. So again, that's the Ontario Caregivers Organization. Advance. And again, this is just some information about Chartwell, our senior home as a senior home operator. Advance. And this is just an overview of some of the options that are available to caregivers. Caregivers have the option of home care that can be assessed through home and community care. Independent living options. These are apartment buildings, independent living apartments for seniors. Independent supportive living offers services for activities of daily living. Assisted living offers another level of care when people need support with hygiene, meal service, medication administration. And we also have many caregivers supporting loved ones with memory and cognition impairment. There are supports in the community for memory living and memory care. Advance. So as caregivers and people who care for seniors in our community, I believe our overall goal is to ensure that we're providing safe, social, and secure environments and communities for our loved ones. Advance. So Chartwell does have a website where you can access resources on our blog, and we also have supportive guides for caregivers to access resources. Advance. And before I take your questions, I just want to introduce you here to Teresa and her mother. I'm going to have Linda advance. I'm not sure if this video will work on the presentation provided. Okay, we're not hearing any sound here, so I'm going to say advance. Okay. I am here to answer any of your questions. And again, I would like to thank you all for taking time to join us for this session today. And hopefully I've been able to help you understand the caregivers. We need to normalize conversations about the caregiver life, the rate of burnout that we're seeing in our communities, and the need for resources to support our caregivers in our communities. So thank you again for your time, and I am here to answer any of your questions.
Before